Are you ready to get real? Welcome to real estate, the world's loneliest career, where you're always out of balance, unfulfilled, the role models are fake, the numbers unattainable, and you're just supposed to be and do it all. Join self-made millionaire real estate agents, wives, moms, and business owners as we level up, learn from special guests, and elevate and disrupt an entire industry through real education our way.
Hello! It is Tuesday. Special, awesome, I don't know what Tuesday. It is Tuesday, December 6th.
It should be like Christmas right now for some reason.
I still feel like it's like March, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. We were just kind of chatting before we went live about the state of the real estate market. So let's talk about that today. Would love if people want to jump in and chat with us. Let us know what they're seeing. So what was your weekend like down in Colorado Springs, Ange?
So we were able to get two of our listings that have been sitting under contract for just under asking. So I feel like that's a huge win. We only had one offer on at the time, but we were able to get both of them under, and I feel like that's a win for everybody. But I understand that your market is a little bit different. You're getting multiple offers, but they're not necessarily what they used to be.
No, they're definitely not what they used to be. Yeah, I don't know. It was bizarre. So like my weekend, I had a townhouse at a phenomenal price, like $420,000 price that should have sold. There were some extenuating circumstances with not deciding to reduce the price until later because long story on the house that they're buying, but I ended up with 4 offers over the weekend, which is interesting, but they were all very low, substantially below list. And we countered and went highest and best on all of them, and not one of them came up in price. So we did end up taking an offer that was not ideally what we had wanted, but you know, it's so interesting. Like my client, I do feel like buyers and we'll talk about buyers in a minute, but I feel like sellers a little bit are coming around to maybe what's happening in the market, because my client said to me, which is probably possibly maybe true, you know, they said this could be the peak for like, who knows, right? Like if we wait, we could never see the price, even though it was really low, that they offered ever again. And if we wait until next year, who knows, maybe it does get higher, maybe it gets lower. I mean, it's pretty, yeah. I was not expecting to have 4 offers after sitting on the market over 60 days.
Yeah. And for none of them to be anywhere near asking price.
Well, I mean, that I kind of felt like that was going to happen, but I was surprised when they all found out that they were in competition.
None of them
came up on their offer price, even though, you know, we tried for like 48 hours to get them to negotiate. So that was super interesting. That's something I've never seen before, for offers that are wildly aggressive on price. On this one, I do think that a lot of it had to do with affordability and the fact that like these buyers really couldn't go up in price. The other thing that kind of bothered me about it is I'm not sure that real estate agents are understanding anything right now, or being creative, you know, or conversations about interest rates right now, because it was an assumable FHA loan at 3.275%. So like a ridiculously good rate. All 4 buyers were coming to the table with over $100,000 cash. So over 20% down, over what they would have needed in order to assume the interest rate.
Mhm.
Not one of them wanted to assume the rate. All of them kept talking about how they couldn't go up in price because the rate was, killing them, and they couldn't qualify, or they couldn't get the payment that they wanted with the rate. We also tried to offer a rate buy down concession, and none of them took it. So I was surprised by that too.
I'm definitely seeing similar stuff down here. It seems like a lot of uneducated or unwilling to educate agents down here. Like they just don't want the knowledge. They don't want to help the client, and they're just stuck in their ways. And it's usually agents that have been quote unquote doing this for 700 years, right? I'm like, why are you guys not offering a buy down? Like why would you offer, 10 grand under and then no concessions? Like that seems really stupid to me. Like it makes almost no difference to their mortgage. Like why is there no creativity? Like what is going on? I don't get it. I had to explain what an assumable mortgage was to an appraiser the other day. That was terrifying that she didn't know what it was. I'm like, that's going to be an issue for you here soon, I think.
Oh my Lord. All right. Well, I feel like we should have like a moment. An assumable mortgage. Let's like break. We've talked about it before, but let's break and talk about what that is for a second. So on FHA and VA loans, most of the time, the interest rate that the seller has, like I'm just going to make one up, but let's say 3.275. That was a perfect scenario from this weekend. My seller's interest rate on that property was a fixed for 30 years, 3.275 interest rate, because it was an FHA loan that the seller has. So it doesn't, actually, it does matter what type of loan the buyer is doing. But it matters what type of loan the seller has. It has to be assumable, FHA or VA. The buyer can come in and assume the seller's interest rate. So the buyers could have come in and taken their interest rate for 30 years fixed at 3.275%. They just have to have the cash essentially to buy the seller out of that. And these people.
So the difference between what the mortgage payoff is and what your contract price is, they have to have that money in cash. They can't finance it. Yes, there are a couple companies that say that they will do it. Don't even go under contract if that's what you're banking on, because it's not going to pan out 99.9% of the time.
Correct. So like in this situation, my clients owed $300,000. We were roughly going under contract for $400,000. There's $100,000 spread there. Every one of these 4 buyers had that cash.
Why not ask to assume the rate? It makes no sense to me. And like the other objection I've heard about that is it's going to take 60 to 90 days to close. Well, what if the seller's already moved out and moved somewhere else? Why can't they just do a lease back for a few months? Why is that all of a sudden we can't do those because of this objection? Like
Well, I think it's because agents are just having a hard time making the mental pivot. But like, we've been talking about this on this show since April, like the 1st of April. You gotta get the mental pivot down. If you haven't made the mental pivot yet, do not go into the new year, regardless of what the market does, like without getting your brain situated on what the market is doing now. Because I understand that, the market has trained real estate agents and buyers and sellers over the last 3 to 4 years that like what makes a good offer? The highest price, the lowest concessions, the fastest closing, right? And the least amount of stuff that the seller has to deal with, inspection, appraisal, blah, blah, right? Buyers have the power now, right? Like the pendulum has swung, okay? Regardless of whether or not it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, I'm not even going to touch that. That's a whole other conversation. It's swung. Buyers now have the power, right? So none of that, like you're not going to see appraisal gaps. You're not going to see limited inspections. You're not going to see offers above asking, and you're going to see longer closes because now the buyers have the power, right? So like, I don't even understand. And I've heard that same thing. Well, it's going to take 60 days to close it.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that's, in a normal, finger quotes, pretty healthy, typical market, a 60-day closing's pretty normal. These 2-week to 30-day closes really just became a thing in the last couple years, right? So I just feel like agents either got really trained by this insane, not normal market that we were in the last couple years and forgot what normal actually is, or they have never been through that kind of market, which we know is the case because National Association of Realtors, this is like my favorite statistic, this is why we do this show, says 90% of agents working in today's market have never worked in a market where interest rates are above 4% or houses sit on the market longer than 30 days.
Yeah. I will tell you the other thing I'm seeing too right now is both of those houses were closings before Christmas. So I'm sure that they're going to roll to after Christmas, or maybe one of them will go before Christmas. But I think that it's very real, the possibility that agents will be getting out of the market quickly and don't want to have to pay to renew. So they're trying to close before the end of the year. So you're going to see that too. And I think that the people that did their continuing education way earlier in the year are kind of missing out. Like I take mine, honestly, I usually do it like the 30th and 31st of December.
New Year's Eve, for sure.
But this year I'm going to do it for early. I'm going to probably do it this weekend because I have nothing else to do. But I think that in addition to having that, you also need to sit with a lender and say, hey, what are you guys seeing in the market? What programs do I need to understand fully so that when the clock dings midnight on January 1st, I know what I'm doing and where my business is going and what tools I need to have. Because I'm also seeing agents that are missing deadlines left and right, inspection deadlines, all kinds of stuff. And they have TCs. Everybody has a freaking TC. There's no reason to have one if you can't meet your deadlines. I understand they're supposed to help you with that, but you're responsible for that.
It's a good question that you just brought up, though. You might want to check in with your transaction coordinator and see what's going on in their lives, and have a really real conversation about that too, because a lot of those transaction coordinators may be picking up second jobs, which again, we are never here to judge. There's nothing wrong with that, but you do need to know if your TC isn't going to be there to watch your back on all those deadlines. So if agents are struggling, the ship ball rolls downhill, the TCs are struggling, the lenders are struggling, everyone's struggling. Do more check-ins on your files more frequently.
Yeah. Instead of like a once a weeker, I think you kind of have to check in at least every 2 days with everybody, like title, lenders, buyer's agent, all of that stuff. Make sure everything's on track, because right now there's a lot going on in the world. It's a hard time to have Christmas. Like I know it comes around every year at the same time, but it seems like this year it's especially hard for a lot of people. And they're changing the way they do Christmas, and there's not a lot of holiday spirit right now, because it's not just the market is hard, like life is hard all over the place for everybody in every occupation. So I think that it's just overwhelming for a lot of people. So just check on people,
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a scary time of the year to have things change.
Right.
For people. And it does really feel like a really super pronounced change, because whether or not it's a return to normal, whatever this ends up being, for the first time in 21 years, I have no idea. Like I stopped. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Angela doesn't know. No one knows. The first time in my whole career, I've not been able to speak with any level of confidence about what happens next. But, it's when you go from the rapid pace of the market that we've had the last couple of years to whatever this is that we're sitting in now, it's scaring people.
Yeah. Well, no one has an answer. Like that's the thing. Like no one knows what to look at. Like there's nothing to point to. So they can't prepare for the chaos. It's like, this is a really shitty reference, but I think of like when the Joker and Batman said, like, people fear things if they're not expecting it. But if they expect it to come, like if you tell them it's going to happen, then they don't freak out. And so I feel like that's something that we can't give anybody right now. So it's just, unrest, and no one has any answers. Like, I've listened to a bunch of economists; they don't know what they're talking about. I don't think anybody knows, because you can listen to like two different ones that are both like world renowned, and they have two completely different answers about the market and what's to come in the next quarter, and it cracks me up because I'm like, these people don't know either. So
No, I don't. I don't think anyone knows. It is. It's a really what we don't understand is and we understand why it's happening from an economic, from a buyer perspective, but sitting here in the market all day long every day, we're like, what are you guys doing? Because we're seeing some of the most aggressive pricing, that I've ever seen in my entire career, including during the 2008, 2007, Great Recession. And rates are down over a point from where they were. There's a ton of programs out there that will get buyers even lower. And there's a lot of chatter about rates maybe coming down again as we go into the new year and middle of the year. But there are great deals out there right now. And I don't understand why the average American is not buying. Do you know who's buying?
investors.
Investors and the massive investor funds that are out there. So I'm not going to say the name of it because we get in trouble for that. But one of these U.S. tax dollar backed investment firms is investing billions with a B, multiple billions with a B dollars right now as we speak into buying up real estate across the United States to turn into rentals. So they don't seem to think that it's a bad time to buy. They think it's probably the best buying window that they've ever seen.
Right.
We've never seen big capital players investing in real estate ever on this level before, because real estate's on sale. So why is nobody buying it?
Right. I feel like the investors that I've heard from are like nationwide investors, but ones that just like send you a random email or a text message every day that want your house for $400,000 under asking or some crazy shit like that. Like, they're not, I'm going to say they're not legitimate. Like, they don't legitimately want to buy the house. They just want a good deal. Like, which I get. Everybody wants to feel like they're getting a good deal. I get that. But it's not a fire sale.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's honestly borderline theft. Like, if people are accepting offers at $400,000 under asking price, they were either grossly overpriced to begin with, or I don't know. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing those kind of investors. I just literally got a message from one this morning, like, hey, are you guys willing to come down to our number yet? No, jackass. I told you what the number was.
Well, and in the situations that is happening, listen, you're going to negotiate right now. If you're a seller, you won't be selling at list price, most likely, unless you have that rare. I did see one 2-3 weeks ago that went a couple $100,000 above asking, but they priced a couple $100,000 below asking. It was very risky. So, you're going to negotiate. Like, if you're a seller right now, you're going to most likely not get your list price, and you're going to have to negotiate and give up some concessions and things, but not that much. And I feel like, again, we've talked about this so much. What's happening in those situations where people are really taking it in the shorts is real estate agents who are advising their sellers to do so, because the agent is panicking. And again, the shit snowball rolls downhill, right? So like, the agent is like, oh my God, we've been on the market 3 weeks and we haven't had an offer. Blah, reduce the price $100 billion.
Right.
And then the sellers do it. And it's like, no. Hi, Alexis. Alexis says, I had an investor offer $150,000 below list and I accidentally laughed at him. Yeah. We're not there yet.
Yeah. It's not that good.
We're not there yet.
I think part of the problem is you see these people on social media, realtors, posting stuff like, I don't think this is the bottom of the market. I think that it's going to be a bigger bubble and you should wait to buy a house. And first of all, look, you barely graduated high school. I'm not going to come to you for financial advice if you are saying something completely different than what trends year over year are showing. Like, you can't just like throw out random things and hope that they come true or something. Like, you have to cite where you're getting that information from. Like, I
I'm going
cannot.
to go back to an old school movie reference, War of the Worlds. I'm sure I've said this before on the show, right? So, like, in the 1920s, when radio was a thing before, like families would like sit in their living room every night and listen to radio together because TV didn't exist. There was a newscaster who thought that he would make a joke, and he went on radio and said that aliens had invaded and that we were all going to die, basically. And people legitimately started hurting themselves. Like, by the hundreds of thousands across the United States, they were killing themselves, jumping off their roofs, stepping in front of traffic because they really believed that this guy was telling the truth. And it was just an awful, awful, awful joke. But I feel like there's a lot of that happening right now. Like, it's almost like people are prophesying what's going to happen next. And it seems to be one of two schools of thought. They're either prophesying that, next year, like we talked about this a couple weeks ago, heard a lender say to my clients, not my lender, say to my clients, why would you take that $10,000 from the seller and buy your interest rate down? I can guarantee you that in January rates are going to be back in the threes. No, you can't. Stop warring of the worlds on that side, right? And then the other school is the ones that you're talking about, which it's every day. Like, it's real estate agents and lenders that are like, oh my God, we're all going to die. Not one house in Colorado or the United States is going to sell in 2023, guys. Oh my God. That's not true either. And that one I don't get. Like, I don't understand. Like, why are you undervaluing your own product? And I don't want people to think I'm being really salesy when I say this, because like Angela and I are like the least salesy people on planet Earth. Why are you undervaluing your own product? I mean, you don't go to like the Ford lot to look at Ford cars and, like the Ford guy's going to be like, oh yeah, don't buy Chevy, but he's not going to be like, oh, we're hearing that there's going to be so many Ford recalls on our own products next year in 2023 that probably your car is going to blow up while it's driving down. Like, he's not going to say that because he believes in his product. Do you or do you not, at the core of who you are, believe that investing in American real estate is a good investment? Yes or no? And if the answer to that question is no, get the fuck out of this business. And I'm sorry, because you're scaring people. You're saying really aggressive things. Like why would I put my confidence in you?
Right. Now's a bad time to buy. Well, does that mean it's a good time to sell or a bad time to sell? Like, what does that mean? And where does that come from? Like, which is it?
Do you know what a good time to buy is? When is a good time to buy? When you have the money and you can afford the payment, period. Because a real estate investment in the United States of America will always return. People who bought homes at the peak right before the Great Recession have made millionaires of themselves off of the equity that they've gained back. Now, it took 10, 12, 15 years for their equity to come back up versus the escalation we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years. They still are sitting on a lottery ticket, sleeping on a lottery ticket, right? Like, you either believe
that in a few years can make you 30, 40, 50, $100,000 or more. Like, very few things. Like, I can tell you, one of them is not renting an apartment. That's not going to just all of a sudden return you an investment. Even if you're selling it for what you bought it for, that's still a hell of an investment. You didn't have, like, you basically lived there rent free for the year for what you bought it for. For 2 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, you either believe in, I hate to say it, what you sell, but you either believe in this or you don't. No. And if you don't believe in it, then why would you expect anyone else on planet Earth to believe that you could guide them.
Right.
Stop. I understand that you're scared. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, we've talked on the show the last couple months about being afraid. Like, it's a real thing. I get that you're scared. I get that you don't know what comes next. I get that it's making you feel some kind of way. Your job is still to tell people that an investment in American real estate is a good investment, because it is. And if you have a problem with that, go look at statistics. Go look at the fact that in every recession in United States history, besides one, prices have gone up. Yep. It isn't normal for prices to go up 20, 30% a year. It's normal for prices to go up 3 to 5% a year. And during a recession, maybe 1%. But in every single trackable recession in the United States, in our history, prices have still gone up. So is it a good time to buy? If you can afford the payment and you have the money to do so, and you're not going to put yourself in harm's way, the answer to that question is unequivocally yes. And a house is a need. It's not a want. It's not like the pair of Freebirds that I wanted on Black Friday that I didn't buy. It's a need. People have to have somewhere to live, which means that real estate will always be transacted regardless of what's going on in the market. People may stop buying Freebirds. They're not going to stop buying and selling houses because people need a place to live.
Right. Something I heard recently was, because of the prices of gas and groceries, I can't afford to buy a house right now. And I said, honestly, I feel like because of the price of gas and groceries, you can't afford not to buy a house right now. And here's why. Here's all the things that we can do with the money that you've spent the last couple months. Like, most of our buyers down here are VA. So everyone's got credit card debt. Why not just have the seller pay off 90% of that credit card debt for you so you can start afresh, and just hold yourself together and hold your family together for a couple months while whatever the hell is going on, all of this turmoil starts to subside, because the gas prices have already come down. The price of groceries is coming down because the gas prices are coming down. So I don't know if people don't realize that those things directly correlate with each other. Like, the price of goods goes up when gas goes up and diesel prices go up, because semi trucks are what are taking the goods to the store. So as that price goes down, the price of goods goes down. So you can continue to pay your landlord's rent, or you can pay your own mortgage and have an investment in your future and leave a legacy to your family. It's a lot more than just buying a house. The other thing I would say too, I have not seen a good flyer go out to apartment complexes recently, and we've got some crazy high rents in apartment complexes.
I'm working on one.
You could see the amount that they're spending year over year in rent. That might change our tune a little bit. Hey, you guys are spending $30,000 for the opportunity to live in this apartment complex for the next year. While your landlord loves the fact that you are willing to pay that to them, you're getting nothing for it. In fact, it's costing you a ton. It's costing you years of equity. So think about that before you jump into a lease. And if you're in a lease, right now is a great time to get out of one, because the seller will probably buy you out if they have a decent agent that can negotiate that kind of thing. And that's opportunity number 7 for clients right now. Like,
if you're counting, you know who thinks it's a good time to buy? Every investor who owns rentals across the United States.
Anyone that currently owns a house thinks now is a good time to buy another.
Correct, because I'm going to put you in my rental and you're going to make me a shitload of money.
Right.
And thank you. I mean, because when buyer confidence, like you said, when buyer confidence goes down, rental prices go up, right? So rent's flying high right now. We've got some comments.
Yeah.
Your point about apartment complexes, I'm actually working on that now. It's funny. A friend of mine, her son was just about to sign a lease actually this week on a rental, an apartment complex. And she reached out to me and said, but do you think you can buy? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. It's him and his girlfriend, longtime girlfriend. And I said, how much is their rent going to be? And she said, $4,300 per month. But I don't think they can get anything for $4,300 per month.
I'll sell in my house for $4,000.
Are you joking me? Like that? Yeah, buyer power goes a long way right now. So all these people that are renting, buyers have the market has beat the shit out of buyers the last couple of years, and we've repeatedly talked about this on the show. No one has told the buyers that it's okay, that they can come back out into the world and we're going to love them again, and that we're not just going to like whip them in the corner anymore. No one's told them that, because everybody, you guys are just so, I'm like ranting. I'm on a tear today. You guys are too stupid. You're standing up there and saying that the market's going to fall apart. You're not telling the buyers that it's okay to come back out, and for their $4,000 whatever $300 in rent, they could go buy whatever they want.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why on every street corner they're knocking down gas stations and building high-rise apartments, right? Look around you. There's a reason why they're being built. People are dumb enough to spend it. They're bringing people in with the, lure of a pool or an amenity or something. Do you know how many people actually use those amenities? Like zero. Those pools just like sit there all year round with like 2 kids in them that come over to visit their grandparents in the apartment complex. No one ever uses them. So you're paying for amenities that you're not going to use, and you're paying somebody else's mortgage. It's really stupid. Rant number 7 or 8 for me today. Please stop fucking quoting interest rates for mortgages. You guys have no idea what the interest rates are for mortgages. You're not a lender. Unless you're citing where that number is coming from and it's coming directly from your lender and there's a disclaimer on it, do not post an interest rate on there. You just make yourself look stupid. And I just screenshot your post and send it to Lindsay and I make fun of you. So stop doing that shit. Like lenders in general, like do not have the backing that apparently realtors do. While they do have Adora, like I feel like this is a place where realtors are going to get in some deep shit, quoting rates that you have no business quoting. So please don't do that. Seriously, it's a really bad idea. And copying and pasting posts from other agents that have that kind of thing, also a bad idea. That means like it's like a chain reaction of really, really, really bad information.
We need that. We need that button that on Facebook that says you're about to share this, but you haven't read it. Are you sure you'd like to share it before you share? Listen, you can share rates, but you need to know the rules about doing that before you do it. So there's rules about it. You need to cite who the lender is. It needs to be specific language. Just make sure you're keeping your nose clean.
Get it from an actual lender.
Yes. Please. Hi, Deb. Deb's our friend in Melbourne, Florida. We love Deb. She says, this is seriously great info and advice. Nobody needs to panic. Just be the source of the latest and best information available. Be realistic in conversations with whichever side you have. Yeah. I mean, have you ever been in a situation where someone's super high anxiety in close proximity to you and it just makes it makes you anxious? Like even if you weren't anxious to start, it makes you anxious. Yeah. That's the entire world right now for our clients, right? And we've said this for years. The best real estate agent is a sponge. Your job is to absorb as much of the feelings and the yuck and the anxiety and the scary and the mean and the whatever before it gets to your clients. And your job when you get to the clients is to be calm, authoritative, to tell the truth, right? In a calming manner. I feel like that's gone completely out the window.
Right.
Agents are not sponging anything right now, and they're not even able to keep their own feelings aside. And so it's just highly emotional everywhere. But your clients, they don't need your feelings. I don't know if you guys know this. It's not your job to tell people whether it's the right time for them to buy or sell. Right. It's your job to provide them with the data and the information that they need to make that choice.
Decision for themselves.
For themselves. Correct.
So I would be real careful about the type of post that you're making on social media. If the narrative that you're getting out there is not, now may be a great time for you to buy or sell a home. Message me to find out, what your home is worth or what you may need. Set the expectation up front for the buyer, what you may need to put down, how much you may need to have. You might be in a better place than you think. Because I don't know if you've realized this, but the narrative that the news is putting out there about our markets is like 6 months behind, like it always is. So now all of a sudden they're catching up with, holy shit, the sky is falling, when in reality that was, a couple months ago that we didn't really know what the hell was going on. Well, now things have started to normalize and rates are coming back down a little bit. At least it has last couple days. The rates have come back down a little bit. Gas prices have come back down quite a bit, over $1 a gallon, $1.50 a gallon, I think. So that's good information, but none of that is being put out there. I think that if you're coming from a place of providing value and giving real knowledge, that you're going to set yourself apart from every other realtor in your market by doing so, instead of posting just the same thing that everyone else is posting. It's so annoying and so boring, and you can do so much better than that. Trust me.
I want you guys to be like Harry Cherry. He was on our show a couple weeks ago. The amount of time that dude spends digging into his market, the statistics, the data of his market, it's unreal. Like I would trust him. Mm-hmm. He's like 12 years old. And I would trust him regardless, because his knowledge is so, it's insane. He said even still, he spends 2 hours a day researching what's going on economically and in his market. Like, be a Harry Cherry and just get the information out there. That's it. In the absence of factual information, fear happens. Every single time. People are afraid because they don't know what the truth is. They don't really know what's going on. It's just your job to tell them what the truth is. And they're going to make a decision whether or not they buy or sell on their own. That has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Deb says, real estate is local. Your market is different than mine. Turn off the news. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've never seen a time when I think people need to turn it off more in general, but that's the other thing, Deb. Angela just said this. You guys both bring up a really excellent point. The viral sharing that happens in real estate when someone comes up with something cute, like marry the house, date the rate. It gets spread like wildfire. But Deb is in Florida on the Space Coast. I'm in Denver. My market, 40 minutes away from Angela, is significantly different, right? So like, I see something cute, I share it. It might not even be truthful.
Right.
Whether it's good or bad. It's probably not. And by the way, it's not enough right now to just like be researching your market once a month. Like, things are literally changing on a daily basis. And the agents that are going to survive in a shift are the agents who can give people factual data and information.
I would encourage you, if you have downtime, to go and sit with a lender if they had the time to sit down and talk with you and learn about the difference in what 1 percentage point will do to someone's payment. Because 90% of Americans do not think in terms of the interest rate is 5% or, the house price is $485. They think in terms of how much is this going to cost me per month. So what you need to do as an agent is start thinking that way as well. So what I used to do when I would go out and show buyers homes, I would call the lender first that's already pre-approved those folks and find out what the payments are on each house with the taxes for each house, so that I could at least give them those options in real time instead of having to make those phone calls after the fact. It literally took me an extra like 10 minutes on the phone with a lender before I went out and showed those homes so that they could compare that, because your tax rates, property tax is crazy different in one neighborhood to the next, one street to the next. So property tax and interest rate difference are a huge thing that's going to completely, sway what your payments are going to be. And most people right now are thinking in terms of monthly output, especially as goods and services are expensive right now. At least more expensive than they were. That's something that you can use and put in your tool belt that makes it a hell of a lot easier for you to get them that information so they can make that decision quicker. So I think that we're going to go back to doing that, at least in my office, is having those payments done ahead of time. So
very smart. And Angela, going back to your point about the renters, people aren't understanding how that interest rate even equates to like real math. They don't get it. Okay. So like, they hear 7% on the news, and all that makes them think is, whoa, that's high, or that's really scary, whatever it is. The actual information, going back to those clients of mine, they're paying $4,300 in rent. Why do they give a shit about a 7% interest
Right.
rate? They could go
Yeah.
out and buy a phenomenal house for that much money, right? So
Yeah.
you have to, like you just said, figure out how to humanize it, I guess, make it make sense. You have to figure out how to take what their rate is and turn it into real life information, because nobody gets that.
Right. If their credit score is good enough to be in an apartment complex, it's probably good enough to buy a house at this point. Because I'm sure that as our market has changed, so has lender requirements. And that's something that you would want to talk to them about. Like, hey, do you guys have any minimums? Do your investors have any minimum credit scores right now? What are they looking for? How much money in the bank do you think that they're going to need to have? Those are some questions that you can kind of get ahead of with your buyers when you're sitting down to coffee and talking with them about what their financial situation looks like and what their idea is for the perfect home for their family, and if they can afford it or not. Between you and your lender, you should be able to figure that out pretty quickly. I just think that we, for whatever reason, because we were so busy, got away from real customer service and sitting down with people and figuring out helping them figure out what's best for their family. Because sometimes they just don't know on their own. And being able to say to somebody, you know what, I don't think right now is the best time for you to buy. All of those people that I told that to 6 months ago, now I'm making phone calls and saying, hey guys, I think now might be a really good time for us to at least take a look at your situation again. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the right time for you to buy, but it does mean that right now you might be able to, get that house at that price point that you want, if not lower than it was 6 months ago. So I think it's at least worth conversations. And the more conversations you have, the more transactions you're going to have. Because realistically, if it's not a good time for them to buy right now, they shouldn't be buying. And you should tell them that. I sleep really well at night knowing that I tell a lot of people no. My lenders tell a lot of people no. And sometimes they'll go and buy a house with somebody else and they'll get in a really shit financial position. Then they're going to call me and my lender later and say, hey, I bought this house and I know you told me not to, but I found this realtor and we bought this house and I think I'm really upside down on it, but I got to get out of this house. It doesn't even work for me floor plan wise. Well, those phone calls are going to start happening a lot to you if you've told people no. Just so you know, it's going to happen if it hasn't already. And being able to help those people out of the situation they put themselves in makes you their realtor for life. So you need to figure that out and start talking to those people and making those conversations longer and more in depth with people.
I really don't think it's that people are afraid to buy. I really do not, because here's the thing, like, every American believes in investing in American real estate. It's the fucking American dream. Right. So again, if you don't believe in that, and as an agent, you have a big problem. They believe it. They're just lacking information and lacking the right data. And they don't know what any of it means. It's like, the news is speaking Greek and we speak English. It doesn't compute, and we forget, I think, as real estate agents, because we're in community with real estate agents all the time, that they don't know what we're talking about, so like when you just post marry the house, date the rate, nobody knows what that means. All your real estate agent friends on Facebook know what that means, but if you don't have information with it, it doesn't mean anything to normal people. Like, I might look at everybody's posts all day long and forget the fact that the normal person doesn't have any idea what any of that means. But I just think they need more information. And yes, absolutely, there are people out there who should not be buying right now, can't buy right now. The rates really are dramatically affecting them, and their affordability and all that stuff is absolutely true. But if you just turn off the news and really research and figure out what the heck is actually going on, I think that there are buyers out there.
There are, absolutely. I think that if you change the way that you post and what you're posting, you're going to see a lot more of a return from those people. Because like Lindsay said, like, they don't understand what you're saying. They're not they're not realtors and lenders. So if what you're posting on social media, I don't want to say dumb it down because that's not what I mean. But I think that it needs to be simplified, and you need to post things as if you're explaining it to, your teenager. Like, they're not going to get real estate lingo. No one is except for us. And we're not selling each other houses, usually. It'd be a lot better if it was super easy to understand and it was quick, just like a postcard. Like, that's what a social media post is. It's like sending a postcard to somebody's house, but it's in front of their face and they're actually going to see it before they throw it in the trash and scroll. So you've got the same amount of time that you do with a postcard. So you just need to put that kind of information in there as quickly and efficiently and easy to understand as you can. Otherwise, you're not going to get a return on it.
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way. Like, let's say you go into the doctor's office and the doctor is teaching other doctors. It's like Grey's Anatomy, right? And they're standing at your bedside and the doctor says, I'm just making up a word. You have like a carcinoma, malignant, blah, 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 blah. And all the other doctors are like, oh yeah. And you're like, I don't know what that means. I'm definitely dying, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what's going on right now. 100%. You've got the doctors, the real estate agents standing up all over social media, telling everybody that they're dying. And then people are like, why does it feel like we're dying? Well, that's why, because they don't understand what you're saying. And they look to you for their confidence.
Right. And they don't want to ask.
No, I would never ask that. Like, I wouldn't. I'd be embarrassed to ask that. Like, I'm not going to go on your post and be like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah. They would Google it and then go down like a really shitty rabbit hole of like, oh my God, the sky is falling, without asking you. So you have to really like explain it fully. Otherwise, you're going to lose people left and right. So
research, right? Be a hairy cherry, dig in, learn the data, learn the information, get your mind on right on whether or not you think it's not even is now the right time to buy, right? Like, I don't even understand where this whole like mindset came from, because equity and investment period, that's a long-term play. Like, unless you're super aggressive in the stock market, you're probably not going to buy something as an investment today and then next month or 2 years later have it return millions of dollars. That was an abnormality in the market the last few years. Most people on average in the United States live in their houses 5 to 7 years. They will gain equity in a 5 to 7 year period. So it's not, is now the right time to buy? Is an investment in real estate still a good investment? And the answer to that question is yes, absolutely. So get clear on that. Get the information that backs it up and calm down.
Right.
Which is hard to do. It's hard to calm down if you're in a panic. It's easier said than done, but you got to calm down.
Absolutely.
The sky is not falling. Just because houses maybe sit on the market 30 to 45 days, that doesn't mean that real estate isn't a good investment.
Right.
Just because, you're negotiating 5 to 7% off of list price, that doesn't mean that real estate isn't a good investment. Just because the house didn't go $100,000 over and it didn't sell on day 2, that does not mean that that's not a good investment. Like, when did those become the metrics for whether or not real estate is a good investment? That's
right.
That's not it. I don't know. It's
right. Yeah, I think that you're going to stop seeing those type of posts from realtors that are like, we sold the house for, $50,000 under asking price, but we sold it in 2 days. Yeah, but
if I see one more person say it's going to get a whole lot worse,
right?
I'm literally like, I'm not joking you. Like, this weekend, I was like, I want to make a fake Facebook account and just go in and troll these people because they're making me insane. And again, I fed into this. It got Angela, it got me, it got everyone. Like, we are not perfect. We were like, oh God, the sky is falling and we're all going to die, right? But then you realize that that's not actually the case. So you got to mute those people, snooze those people. I don't know. Comment. Like, that's the reason I want a fake Facebook account, is that I don't know how to not be really snarky. because like what I want to comment on every single one of those posts, and these aren't like, we're not talking about a post in Lab Coat Agents. We're talking about a post on someone's Facebook page where they, solicit clients for a living. They're like, oh, you think the market's bad? Now wait until next year. It's going to get so much worse. And I just want to comment underneath it and be like, yeah, it's going to get so much worse for you because you're literally destroying your career.
Yeah. I think people need to just settle in and realize that this is the new normal and just get comfortable with it and figure out how to help people buy and sell homes during this market. And if that's what you focus on, you'll be fine. If you focus on all the other noise, it's going to be a distraction. So
100%. And resources wise, again, please don't be embarrassed. Please do reach out if you need anything, whether it's training or support, community, a shoulder to cry on, someone to talk to, whatever it is. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There are resources out there for real estate agents monetarily and financially too. So, get help if you need to get through this holiday season. Don't be embarrassed about it. Whatever is going to come next year is going to come. But if you're calm and level-headed and putting in the work, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
I think it's going to be all right. I don't know what's going to happen next year.
Nope.
I know that.
Go back to 6 months ago where the market's flipping crazy and you told your clients not to buy a house.
Well, that's the thing that's so insane to me is like, I almost said, what do they think? And then I just caught myself because the answer is they don't know what they think. So this is where our job comes in, education. Okay. The public doesn't know. I almost said, what do they think is going to happen when rates go back down? The answer to that question is most likely prices will come back up. Now, that it might not be as dramatic as it was the last couple of years, but the minute that rates go down and everybody starts buying again, prices are going to come back up. So, now is the window of opportunity for people, but they don't know that. They don't get that.
Mm-hmm. Right now, the supply is still higher than the demand because we haven't created the demand. We haven't gotten the message out that now may be a great time to buy or sell. It's our fault as realtors, if realtors are telling people not to buy and we're like, hey, where's all the buyers? That's the problem, right? So the demand
is going to get so much worse.
The prices.
Shoot myself when I hear that. If you are that agent, stop it. Stop it. Because even if it does get so much worse, even if we do see a 2008, Angela, did you sell houses in 2008?
Yeah, best year ever.
Same. People bought and sold homes. People had to move. All kinds of stuff happened. It doesn't really matter what the market is. Real estate is transacted every single day. Again, it's a need. It's not a want. It's not like real estate doesn't go out of business, right? Real estate agents go out of business. And in my opinion, it's because, and they can't get their mindset right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am curious to see how many people get out come January.
NAR says they expect over 600,000 agents in the next 12 months, which makes me really sad.
It does.
And on that note, I think, again, like what you're rich on right now is time. So everybody right now, you need to, be in a class. Like I was sitting down this weekend and I put 2 classes, seminars, whatever on my calendar for every single month next year. Get a meeting with a lender set up, go meet with your title company if you don't know how to pull some of this data, historical data, so you can speak knowledgeably about the market. Go to every class that you can go to. People aren't charging a lot right now. You can go to a class for $5 or $10. You can go to a Zoom for free. That's the kind of stuff that will put you back in a positive mindset and make you take action.
Go don't sit for a coffee with an agent that's kicking ass right now that you can see all over social media that's still doing well.
Yes.
Go pick their brain for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, whatever they're going to give you. But spend your time doing activities that are going to put you in a better mindset and a better mental space. Don't spend your time scrolling online, looking at all the doom and gloom. And don't put that kind of shit out there. Only put positivity out there, and that's what you're going to get back. So.
And if you're getting pressure from within your house, like your family, your friends, your spouse. You got to figure out how to diffuse that too. Because I know, we've heard from a lot of people who are like, well, my spouse is telling me just to hang up my license because it's going to get so rough. Or my parents are telling me I shouldn't even finish the licensing classes because it's going to get so bad, Everything starts here. It is the end of the year. It's a phenomenal time to cut ties with negativity, weed out as much toxicity as possible, get yourself in positive places, sign up for all the classes, do all the things, go back and listen to podcasts, like anything that you can do right now it's just like Christmas spirit. You ever had those years where you're not feeling the Christmas spirit and you've got to turn on Mariah Carey to make it happen?
Yes.
Same thing.
We need a real estate Mariah Carey.
We do.
Yeah.
You can hit those high notes. I believe in you. But go, that's what you need to do. Get yourself in the real estate spirit, because the beginning of the year is coming fast. And this time of year, I think we all are like, well, I'll get to it. I'll do it next year. Next year is going to be completely different. It's coming really fast. And I think there's a unique time right now to work on yourself and your mindset. And whatever, if the market does swing back next year, all you'll have done is leveled up your skills. It's a win-win.
Right. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, please message us. If you have a question on something or you want us to teach you on something, please message us and tell us what that is, and we will absolutely work it in.
I was thinking about maybe asking people for nominations anonymously for a real estate agent that we might be able to support during this Christmas season. So we might work on that if people are listening and they have an idea of someone, because it's scary. It's rough out there. I don't want to see anyone turn in their license. That's 600,000 people who have dreams and goals, and they're going to change their lives, so support your local agents too.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we can figure out a way to get our realtor fees dropped a little bit, because they're pretty asinine. I have no idea what they pay for. But we pay them for every single realtor association that we're a part of. So for me, it's, times 3 or 4 annually. So it's a lot, it's like several $1,000s. Just mine, I don't know what yours is, but mine is like $650, $660, something like that.
It's outrageous for sure. Yeah. And I think that's freaking a lot of people out too. This timing for sure wasn't good, right? The fact that all of this stuff kind of culminated towards the back half of the year, it's not good, because everything's due.
Right. All at once. Right.
And it's scary. So yeah, do what you got to do to just get through it, I feel like, and reach out if you need help. There's a lot of resources out there.
Yeah. I do feel like, and the lenders can correct me here, but I feel like lenders are going to start seeing refis being requested come January from people that are just, I don't want to say overextended, but just, they've got a lot of debt and they need to pay some of it off. And the only way they can think to do that is to get out from under that is to refi. So I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of those happen January, February, March. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah. Well, we love you guys. Reach out if you need anything, and
and get in the real estate spirit for sure.
Yeah. Turn on whatever your real estate Mariah Carey is and go jam out. We love you guys. Hang in there. We can do this. We can do hard things. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Bye.
Oh.
Angela and Lindsay would love to receive your real estate referrals in Colorado. Connect with the Homegirls on social media at The Real Homegirls Podcast.